At some point, you got to flip it, man. Some point, you gotta flip it. Strength isn't doing life alone. It's choosing where you don't do life alone. Because staying isolated, that's kind of the easy stuff, right? But it's not where things get better for you or for me. A lot of men think being a lone wolf, it's strength, handling everything on your own, not needing anyone. But if you're honest, it might be the exact reason you feel stuck right now. Because being alone and being strong aren't the same thing. We do, in fact, live in a world where you can completely work remotely, not have to interact with people person to person. You can get everything delivered, or you can even be around people all day long and still, unfortunately, feel completely alone. There's constant connection, but really what occurs to me is most of this is surface level. So much in our society is surface level. They're one-off type of relationships, or kind of like disposable. I think our society, it does celebrate independence, but almost too much. A lot of us dudes, millions of guys in 70s and 80s, we grew up latchkey. What's that mean is there were empty houses after school. We were figuring things out on our own. So we learned pretty dang early. Handle it yourself. Then you layer in what we grew up watching. I'm thinking specifically like John Wayne, right? He's definitely a solo operator. Rambo, oh my God, definitely a solo operator with a chip on his shoulder. Forrest Gump, I don't know, sort of a solo operator. Neo in the Matrix, yeah. Anyways, the guy who figures it out alone. That's what I'm getting at. That's who these people are. And we idolize these people. The guy who doesn't need help. The guy who walks his own path. That identity, it gets wired early through our teenage years. But here's what nobody teaches you. How to actually build a real relationship. Not surface ones. Not transactional ones. I'm talking, about that word, about trust, support, real understanding. We get good at functioning, but not really connecting. And then, you know what? Something hits. Something big hits. Divorce. That's the big one I'm thinking about, of course. The connection you thought you had, a lot of these people disappear. A lot of these relationships go poof, like a vapor. People don't know what to say, right? They stop calling. Some stop calling. Some quietly step away. You don't know what happened. And then suddenly, you're on your own. I'll be honest. I isolated after my separation too. And yeah, sometimes that does feel right. It feels like control. It feels like protection. I remember very much this nice guy I had met at church, feeding the poor, doing the food bank every week. And I remember this guy at church, he and his wife invited me over for lunch after church. And the bad part about it is I was just feeling kind of pitiful, and I turned them down. So what did I do? I went and spent the afternoon at the park. Well, I should have gone to their house and would have gotten a great meal. Probably would have fostered that friendship. That friendship eventually didn't turn into much, and I ended up leaving that church. But the point is I isolated. I had an option to go and hang out with these good people, and I isolated. That's a natural thing. And it's not always natural for us guys to make connection. There was also so many nights. I remember so many nights sitting there, especially those long weekends where I'd have 3 or 4 day weekends, sitting there at home in my condo. Everything's quiet. I turn off the TV, no noise, no distraction. And it hit me. It wasn't just getting space. I was completely alone. And there's a difference. And please don't get me wrong. I talk a lot of my videos about guys needing space. Guys needing space and quiet and time to themselves, alone time in that first few months of singlehood, or even if it takes longer, but to sort things out, to learn to be alone, to learn to be comfortable in your own skin and not have to rely on someone else for your energy, someone else to take up your time. I've, over the years, especially after divorce, especially after my girlfriend got into my life, I've watched how women handle this differently. They rally. They rally around each other. They connect. And most men, we do the opposite. We go quiet. We disappear. We tell ourselves we're fine, but we're just alone. That's the trap. The same dang independence that made you strong, guess what? It becomes that thing that keeps us stuck, that keeps you stuck. You're not asking for help. You're not building anything new. You're watching the same old shows. You're doom scrolling. You're surfing a TV late at night. You're just maintaining. At some point, you got to flip it, man. Some point, you got to flip it. Strength isn't doing life alone. It's choosing where you don't do life alone. Now, there's a twist. It's building real connections, okay? Intentionally. It's not easy. Most of us aren't really wired that way. Not 100 people. I'm not talking about connecting with 100 people, just a few solid ones. So, guys, if you're feeling this right now, there's a couple of simple things you can do. First of all, don't wait till you're social to reach out. Most guys, we sit around thinking, I'll call someone when I feel better. There's one. Well, that day doesn't come. I'll call someone when I feel better. You've got to go first. You've got to get in motion first, even when it feels a little off. Text one guy this week. Just go ahead and text one guy. Hey, man, grab a coffee. That's it. That's all you got to do. All right. That's the first exercise. Don't try to rebuild your whole social life. That's too much to handle at first. Don't try to rebuild it overnight. Just create one consistent thing. Weekly coffee, maybe gym time, a standing walk with another dude. Something that gets you around the same people regularly. And this might be a little awkward, but when you're around someone, just say one real thing. Not everything, just one. Something like, yeah, this year's been a little rough. It's been kind of jacked up. That alone opens the door. That's honestly, and all of this is honestly part of why I'm doing this. I've spent years, my gosh, literal years of my career around men on some of their toughest days. Hundreds of men, well into the thousands. And I see what's missing over and over and over, the same cycle. There's not enough space for real conversation, for real support, or real connection between dudes. And that's something, me personally, I want to help build. You don't need a big overhaul. Just start small and be intentional about it. Because staying isolated, that's kind of the easy stuff, right? But it's not where things get better for you or for me. If this hits you, or you know a guy who needs it, send this video to him. And if you're working through your own next chapter, the link's in the description. Lone wolves, we can survive. But men who connect actually do move forward a little bit better. All right. Take care, guys. Thanks.